Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here with my next Sword Art Online episode review. This one's going to be for Season 1, Episode 8, Sword Dance of Black and White. We are into the second half of the Aincrad arc, which means we have a new DVD cover. Pretty nice here, kind of showing off that realistically the second half of the season is more focused on the Kirito-Asuna relationship, and this kind of gets the kind of almost family dynamic that starts to develop later on in the season across. It's just a pretty cool idea for the second half of the season. In terms of source material, we go back to volume 1 of Aincrad, because after like 2 or 3 chapters, this book skips after revealing basically the whole episode 1 plot, it skips ahead basically to floor 74, where we are in this episode. The current like frontier, basically, where all the players are trying to get past floor 74. And for the most part, this episode is fairly accurate to everything that goes on in the novel, so there's not much to really say about differences and stuff like that. But what I liked about this episode was the development for the Kirito-Asuna relationship. I like the way that it kind of comes about here, is that just randomly out in the field, Kirito comes across an S-rank kind of food monster, takes it out, and he's found a super rare food item. And he's going to sell it, and then Asuna shows up, and suddenly he realizes he actually has someone to cook it. And so we've already established in previous episodes that they've kind of bonded a little bit over kind of food. Like we've seen a good few scenes of these two eating together. The scene with the bread in like episode 2, the sandwich scene from just an episode or 2 ago. And now we see Asuna has maxed out her cooking skill. This is like clearly her biggest like hobby in the game, outside of just trying to finish the game. And it's just this situation where you basically set up a date between the two, while also setting up this idea that Asuna is becoming a little bit concerned about the way her guild is getting very kind of overprotective of her. They're getting very kind of needy with her, sending Kuradeel around as her bodyguard and stuff like that. And you set up this rivalry between him and Kirito, just around the fact that he thinks Kirito is super shady, and Kirito is just... he just acts kind of all chill, and it's just like, well, there's no problem here, dude. There's no reason for you to be all aggressive. Me and Asuna are friends, and there's no reason to think I'm anyone bad. But of course the whole beater thing comes up again, and Kirito just doesn't care about that at this stage. He knows who he is, Asuna knows who he is, and knows that the whole beater thing is just not true, which is a nice reference that she and Eagle, as we see in this episode, just don't care. Like, they know what he did and why he did it. It's just really interesting. You definitely get the idea that Kirito and Asuna know each other very well, that their relationship is very much developing kind of pretty well. And it's something I know I said in the last review as well, that episode, even though it was kind of focused on kind of the kind of murder mystery plot and stuff like that, and the last episode was the one with Elizabeth. That one, the last few episodes have set up this more advancing relationship between these two, that Asuna likes Kirito, and this episode makes it clear that Kirito likes Asuna. Like when she comes in, when they go back to her house to eat, and she kind of comes out wearing her kind of just normal civilian clothes, and he kind of blushes because he's kind of so used to seeing her in her armor that just seeing her in kind of normal clothes is kind of almost shocking to him, and you can see that he finds her attractive and stuff like that. So it's just a really cool way that the relationship develops, just the way they kind of tease each other throughout the episode about these various things. She kind of teases him about, I can take it you've never had a girlfriend before, and she jokes about how she's had all these marriage proposals before in the game, and how she kind of teases him like, you're not going to propose, are you? But I just like how Asuna is kind of taking charge here, that she's been the commander of the Knights of the Blood Oath, second in command for a while now, and you see that towards the end of the episode where they're in the dungeon. It's a complete contrast to the way the first boss battle raid was, where Kirito was the one like ordering out like switch and do this, do that, whereas in this fight she's kind of taking the forward role. She's kind of going, Kirito, switch with me, and I just really like that. And again, there are just so many nice moments of their relationship in this episode. Even the moment when basically the duel between Kirito and Kuradeel happens. Um, I like how he asks her basically, "Do you want me to like fight for you here?" That it isn't just this kind of, even though Asuna's the basically the closest in level to Kirito in the game, uh, she isn't just kind of resorted to this kind of damsel in distress in this moment. Kuradeel has this issue with Kirito. Kirito wants to get this over with, and I like how he just goes to her like, "Do you want me to do this?" And she just nods, and it's just like, "Yes, I want you to fight for me here. I'll explain it all away so you won't get in trouble for fighting like a powerful guild member and stuff like that." So it was just this kind of nice moment of like respect between the two, where he knows realistically she can fight for herself, but she realizes that the issue is between these two, and she's not going to get what she wants, which is to be in this party with Kirito, unless she basically allows this fight to happen. And it's a really cool moment. Again, it's one of those kind of just really awesome Kirito moments where he just like shows how high level he is. Asuna kind of mentioned earlier on in the episode that he's at least 10 levels higher than you. And you just see it here. The duel starts, you get the awesome music, and just one sword skill and the guy's sword is smashed. And then Kuradeel kind of tries to take another sword and do all this kind of dishonorable thing, but she steps in then. It's just like, "No, you lost, go home, I'm going in this party now." And it's just this really interesting idea for her, where she's been so set on wanting to complete the game. That's why she became and got to the rank of second in command of the Knights of the Blood Oath, because she, more than almost anyone in the game, has had the biggest drive to just get out of this world, finish the game. But because of her interactions with Kirito, because she has gained this kind of understanding of the virtual world, she's now beginning to just, I suppose, relax a bit. She's not so crazy about we have to get out now, because she's learned to kind of enjoy the days in the virtual world, even though maybe she'd better enjoy those days outside, but they are still days in the virtual world. And just that at this point in time she kind of wants a break from all that stress, especially with these kind of new rules that are being implemented, as a bodyguard, and it's all getting a little bit too serious for her, and she's beginning to focus a little bit more on stuff like her blossoming relationship with Kirito, and like she wants time to spend with him, which is why the whole point of this episode really comes about is that she wants to be in a party with him. And I like how it's kind of her kind of implementing it, instigating all of this sort of stuff. It's just that this is something she wants, and Kirito's just kind of like, that with him it's kind of like, about his issues about being in a party and how protective he is of people, and we know that around her he doesn't need to protect her so much. He's still going to obviously be protective, but she is probably the only other player in the game he doesn't need to just protect when he's in the party with. And so that's a completely different experience for him. And so when she kind of jokes about what otherwise would be this fairly serious thing, going into a party with Kirito and his thoughts on that, it is more of a just like, "It's me, come on," and she kind of has to tease him about him, like threaten him with like the butter knife or whatever it is, and it's just made to be fun, even though it's actually this very serious thing for Kirito about just being in a party and kind of being more open to these kind of relationships. So I just I make no kind of bones about it. I love this Kirito Asuna relationship. It's definitely one of my favorite ships just in the media I've seen in general. I love how it develops kind of slowly at first. It's not super obvious that that's where they're going, like the first time they meet, but just over time you see that these characters have this connection, and it's It's still not fully there yet, but you get the hint that it's going there, and I just really like it. So other than that, the plot of this episode in terms of like the story, we're getting back into clearing the game style thing, and that they join this, make up this party. It's just a two people party, Kirito and Asuna. And where do they go to test out their skills? It's on the frontiers, on the front line. It's floor 74 dungeon. They go to basically the hardest content in the game at that point in time, and they are in no way in danger. Like, it just shows how powerful that these two are together, that they can just basically get to the boss room on their own in this like high level dungeon. And they find the boss, and that's where the cliffhanger is. We get introduced to the Gleam Eyes. They go in to check it out. They're not there to straight up fight the boss. They're just there to investigate it, because as the books go into a little bit more detail, and especially episode 2 addressed, a lot of the way they win fights is just about having the information about the bosses, that they look in at it a couple of times before they even go to face it for the first time. And that's what Kirito and Asuna are doing here. They're doing a kind of scouting mission. They found the boss door, they know where it is, they've mapped the area out, they can bring people in when they need to, but obviously stuff is going to happen in like the next episode, which will change things. And I like how the next episode continues directly on from this, and a lot of the episodes from here on out really do continue directly into each other, with really only the 2 Yui episodes being any sort of a distraction from straight up floor 74 boss, floor 75 boss, end of Aincrad arc. So I like how the first half is kind of like key moments just all over the place, and now we're suddenly going like, this is it. This is the big moment, so we're going to have a run of episodes that really show the development of this relationship and the end of the game. So I love this episode. I think it's really good. Definitely, like, the next episode gets a lot more hype just because it has those really awesome moments. Dual wheel, it's another boss battle. But this episode, in terms of relationship stuff for Kirito and Asuna, is really important, I think, and I really like it. So, yep, in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are on this episode, what your thoughts are on what I've said in this video. Other than that, thanks for watching this video, and bye.